guys. Hope you're having a great evening. It's Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Another Johnny E video. If you look in the background behind our head there, that right there is a Smith & Wesson Model 686 357 Magnum with a 4-inch barrel.
Yep.
Sheila will post some pictures at the back of the video showing the gun with the Kentucky State Police seal on their weapon, and a lot of them had their unit numbers inscribed. That's the gun we've been looking for to do this test with. We had several people contact us, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Some of them had different barrels, different things. One guy called, the closest one we got to this was last night was a 586. I said, what's the difference in a 586 and a 686? And he wasn't sure, but we researched it, and it was a 586 is exactly the same gun. It's just blue steel.
Oh, okay.
A 686 is a 357 like you're looking at, but it's nickel plated. And that's what Johnny had with the Pacmar grips on it. They come with a wooden grip. She'll show a picture at the end, and they also came with the Pacmar, the rubber grips.
Okay, well done.
That gun right there is a key to an important part of Mr. Doug Asher's book.
Okay.
And some of his allegations, some of his remarks. But as we go through this video here, I think you're going to be impressed at what Sheila and I have accomplished and can show you physically. You know, there's an old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this is a video, and it's worth more than 1,000 words because it's going to show you exactly the recoil of that gun. Let us, on page 208 of Doug Asher's book, one small sentence, paragraph.
Okay.
Among other evidence indicating this was a suicide, when Edrington's body was discovered, his revolver was in his left hand. See, oldest trick in the book. Put a gun close to somebody or in their hand especially. Makes it look like an S side. Now, guys, you got to understand this was back in the 1980s. And I may have said this on another video, but this was before Madlock. This was before CSI, Blacklist, and all these different crime scene movies where people learn. And it came up, it became known that the easiest way to cover up a homicide is make it look like a S side. So somebody has placed the gun in Johnny's hand. Now, they didn't only place it in his hand, they placed it in his wrong hand. They put it in his left hand. Johnny was right-handed. Let's continue on. Asher says the barrel was pointed toward his body. We've emphasized this. Not only was the gun in his hand, it was even pointing right at him, indicating, Ed, this is a fake gun, training gun, but that's what he had. Not only was it still in his hand, but it was pointing at him. You don't get no better than that. This case is solved. In fact, Jimmy Phelps said case was solved that night. I have a feeling that's what solved this case, was the fact that the gun was in his hand. That's what they took as the evidence. And how hard was it for somebody to shoot him and then place the gun in his hand? The barrel was pointed at his body. This indicated he had held the gun with his left hand and pulled the trigger with his right thumb. Later, investigators would conduct an experiment which concluded, based upon the recoil of the gun and other factors, the position of Edrington's revolver in his left hand was consistent with that scenario. Guys, you're going to see a video here in a minute that's anything but consistent. I don't know what the other factors he talks about. Wouldn't that be nice to see what kind of test Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher, Captain Doug Asher then, what kind of test he performed back in the 80s to see what the recoil of this gun was, because he says the recoil of the gun and other factors, the position of Edrington's revolver in his left hand was consistent with the scenario. Guys, that gun right there, a 686, 357 Magnum with a Magnum round, is hard to, I'm not going to say hard, but it takes some effort to hold that gun steady without it flying out of your hand.
Especially, well, in the right hand that you like to hold it with, your dominant hand. But when you're holding it in the opposite one, it's even harder. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Show them, Sheila, right here.
Right.
With your if he's holding that gun in his left hand, he's got it turned sideways. The open hand, it's here. This is open. Now imagine when a person gets shot, bang, their hand just drops. There's nothing. This hand here, if he would have said, had his hand around it, had the finger in the trigger, and the trigger got hung up, the trigger guard.
Mm-hmm.
But the left hand has no, it is open. There's nothing. It just drops. That's it. There's nothing there that can catch.
It's not holding,
He's even holding it sideways. If he's doing it like Asher says, he's holding it sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we talked the other day about a hairline fracture. With the amount of recoil that this gun has, you'll see some marks on me in a minute.
Yeah.
And it's totally inconsistent with the evidence.
We believe.
Totally inconsistent with the testing. You're going to see that as we go demonstrate this video.
Yep. Let us know your thoughts.
Guys, the 686 has got some tremendous recoil. You're going to see that in the video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll pick up on the other side. We're going to show you the video, and we may stop and talk about it. We may not. Let's see where it gets us. And let's see if Doug Asher performed any kind of a test like this, because according to the recoil of what we're going to show you here, that gun went almost 10 feet back. It would have gone 10 feet behind if that's Johnny to the front.
Mm-hmm.
When that gun recoiled, it went 8.5 feet behind. The reason it only went 8.5 feet is because there's a rope going through the trigger.
Right.
That's how we test fired that gun.
Mm-hmm.
Had that rope not run out of rope and pulled the gun back, the gun would have continued to go. It would have gone 10 feet. Remember, his flashlight was found 4 feet 9 inches from his toe. That gun would have been found approximately 8 to 10 feet from his body. 8 to 10 feet, according to the test that we performed.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't only perform it, we filmed it from 3 different angles, 3 different cameras for you to look at.
Exactly.
Sheila's going to play it now.
Does he need ear plugs, baby?
Yeah, I'll throw him a pair out there if you would. That was fine. Turn your mic on.
Here you go, sir, so it doesn't hurt your ears. Now I gotta check my phone and see if it works.
And
they're connected.
I want to lay that down before we do it. And you've got that one out there on. I'm gonna turn
it's recording now, so.
Okay.
But I'll go back and edit it and get
this one's recording.
Okay. You got the shell in the, you don't, do you? You want to use his for this
let
one?
me have that one first.
This isn't his.
Yeah.
It's worked.
This is a Magnum, isn't it?
I don't know if he can hear you.
Okay. A Smith, which way's it roll? To the left.
Okay.
you're back there out of the way.
Yep, I'm back out of the way.
All right. Guys, we're going to try the first experiment. Let's see what happens. I'm going to cock the hammer, which just chambered around. Everybody's got ears on. Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. That thing blew plumb back there. And that's exactly, it come all the way back. If the rope hadn't have been on. Wow. Did you see that?
Yes.
I don't think we have to do another test. I was going to do 2 tests.
But that was interesting.
Okay.
Wow.
Amazing. We didn't have no doubt, did we?
No, I did. I know he didn't.
We didn't have no doubt.
There, all the way back here.
We
Wow.
show.
Look at the powder on the.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna
See that, guys? Whoa.
show that.
Atlanta. Oh my. That is insane.
I'm not going to do up there yet. I'm just going to do
Down here to see.
down here.
Okay,
We're just going to do a test. Look here, that thing hit me in the arm wide open, buddy.
oh wait. Wow.
Yeah,
Bounce back and hit you?
it bounced back that far, Sheila. Show your, this is your powder residue.
Gotcha.
And that's not even up top.
Right. That's just.
That's
down
just on the bottom. Powder that fell down through here.
Whoa.
Now, here's your powder
See that?
up here on this one.
Well,
The same way. So you would have powder residue.
everywhere.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay. Let me get that. Holy smoke. I wasn't expecting. I knew it was going to have a good recoil,
Yeah. Wow.
but I never knew it was going to do that.
I gotta put that in slow mo.
We
gotta get that camera.
yeah, I guess you should play it back and make sure you got it before we
Yeah.
turn it off.
Let me look here and see. Woo.
Bill, you talk about, well, let her get this. You want to turn this in here off too, babe?
Yes.
Your GoPro?
Yes.
Take your time.
Here it is.
Wow.
And edit it and get
This one's recording.
okay. You got the shell in a. You don't, do you? You want to use his or this
Let
one?
me have that one first.
This isn't his.
Yeah.
It's warped. So odd.
This is a Magnum, isn't it?
I don't know if he can hear you.
Okay. A Smith. Which way's hip row? To the left.
Okay.
Okay, you're back there out of the way.
Yeah, I'm back out of the way.
All right. Guys, we're going to try the first experiment. Let's see what happens. I'm going to cock the hammer, which just chambered around. Everybody's got ears on. Wow.
Whoa!
Now, that thing blew plumb back there, and that's exactly, it come all the way back. If the rope hadn't have been on it, wow. Did you see that?
Yes.
I don't think we have to do another test. I was going to do 2 tests.
But that was interesting.
Okay.
Wow.
Amazing. We didn't have no doubt, did we?
No, I did. I know he didn't.
We didn't have no
From
doubt.
there all the way back here.
We
Wow.
show.
Look at the powder on the.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna
That guys. Whoa.
show that.
Atlanta. Oh my. That is insane.
I'm not gonna do up there yet. I'm just gonna do
Down here to see.
down here.
Okay,
We're just gonna do a test. Look here, that thing hit me in the arm wide open, buddy.
oh, wait. Wow.
Yeah,
Bounce back and hit you?
it bounced back that far, Sheila. Show your, this is your powder residue.
Gotcha.
And that's not even up top.
Right. That's just.
That's
down
just on the bottom. Powder that fell down through here.
Whoa.
Now, here's your powder
I see that.
up here on this one.
Whoa. Look
The same way. So you would have powder residue.
everywhere.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay. Let me get that. Holy smoke. I wasn't expecting. I knew it was going to have a good recoil,
Yeah. Wow.
but I never knew it was going to do that.
I'm gonna put that in slow mo. We gotta get that camera.
Yeah, I guess you should play it back and make.
Okay.
Okay, you're back there out of the way.
Yeah, I'm back out of the way.
All right. Guys, we're going to try the first experiment. Let's see what happens. I'm going to cock the hammer, which just chambered around. Everybody's got ears on. Wow.
Whoa!
Wow. Wow. That thing blew plumb back there. And that's exactly, it come all the way back. If the rope hadn't have been on it, wow. Did you see that?
Yes,
I don't think we have to do another test. I was going to do 2 tests.
but that was interesting.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Amazing. We didn't have no doubt, did we?
No, I didn't. I know he didn't.
We
That
didn't have
thing
no
went from
doubt.
there all the way back here.
We
Wow.
show.
Look at the powder on the.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna
See that, guys? Whoa,
Show that.
my Lanta. Oh my. That is insane.
I'm not gonna do up there yet. I'm just gonna do
Down here to see.
down here.
Okay, let me
We're
show
just
you.
gonna do a test. Look here, that thing hit me in the arm wide open, buddy.
Oh wait. Wow.
Yeah.
It bounced back and hit you?
It bounced back that far, Sheila.
Dang.
Show your. This is your powder residue.
Gotcha.
And that's not even up top.
Right. That's just
That's
down
just on the bottom. Powder that fell down through here.
Whoa.
Now, here's your powder.
I see that.
Up here on this one.
Whoa, look.
The same way. So you would have powder residue.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay. Let me get that. Holy smoke. I wasn't expecting. I knew it was going to have a good recoil.
Yeah. Wow.
But I never knew it was going to do that.
I got to put that in slow-mo, too. We got to get that camera.
Yeah, I guess you should play it back and make sure you got it before we...
Yeah.
Guys, by now you've seen the videos. Probably 3 different angles.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, reminds me, you also seen a fella in there blurred out. That is the gentleman that brought the gun to us to use to fire. He didn't only bring that gun to us to fire, that's his gun up there. But once he got here, because we had been using a 22 and the trigger pulled a whole lot easier, we had to remodify our trigger pull. It wasn't working. And that fella figured out another way that where he tied it around one side and we run the rope through the trigger to the other side.
Right.
And you saw where I finally had to take up. That is a heavy, heavy gun.
Oh, law.
And I had to finally hold the back of the support rack and pull the trigger with the other hand to get it to fire. Exactly. We were going to do 2 or 3 random runs. We didn't have to. We done that one test, and that showed exactly. If that doesn't show you the recoil of a 357 Magnum and how a person, you know, when you're shot or you shoot yourself, everything goes. You know, even as morticians and people will tell you, a lot of people loses their bowel movements. They lose their urine control.
Yeah.
Everything relaxes. The body goes limp. You don't hold on to nothing. You're dead. You're dead.
Yes, because the brain is not there to tell you what function to do.
Now, when we got done there, so we want to thank Bill, first of all.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Bill, for loaning us the gun, coming up here and watching, and just a real sweet fella, and really helped us in a lot of ways in some of our questions that we had, because he had stories of his own, and he really helped out.
Exactly.
Things that, questions that Sheila and I had on some other topics.
We appreciate that.
And the question that we had, he had answered from another experience, and it was a smaller caliber gun. It was a 22. If you'll see our last video, we do a 22, and the 22 doesn't even fall off the rack. Fires around, doesn't even fall. And that's the difference. This gun here, nobody's going to hold on to this gun with one hand and them dead. Nobody's going to hold on to it with 2 hands and them dead. Now, one thing, what we did while we were there, we went ahead.
I could take a picture of it too and add it in the end if you want.
We didn't even wet it down. Had we put a little bit of water on it or moisture and run it over, it would have even got more. But there
you go, residue.
Is powder residue. Now, for some reason, Dr. Huntsinker, the detectives, Mr. Asher, everybody wanted to make a big deal. Oh, he had gun residue on his hands. We done 3 tests. All 3 of them we explained that in one of the videos. If you have a bad test on the first one and you contaminate the area, the rest of them is going to be contaminated. Guys, there's 3 ways at least to have gotten that. One of them is self-inflicted. They know that. And they see the gun laying there in that hand, so they say, oh, yeah, he's got to have gun residue. Hold that, Sheila. Okay. How about this right here? How about somebody gets the drop on them? Put it right there. Gets the drop. There's the muzzle flash. When you guys are going through this video, when you see that firefly from that muzzle flash, when it first fires, look at that muzzle flash. Look at that fire. Now, that's powder. That powder has ignited, and it's burnt. And now it's free-flowing in the air. And it just falls wherever it wants to fall. We took that with no water, no liquid, no chemicals, and just rubbed it over that target.
Back there.
And there's what we got. And that's nothing. If it would have been wet and come off there, because it's dry powder.
Right.
So one of the things is self-inflicted. One is here. The other one is even hands down to the side. And somebody got the drop on them and shot. And once they shoot, he didn't know it was coming. The powder falls.
Right
the powder,
yeah.
The powder gets on his hands. They take a test at the funeral home, a bad test, and contaminate the rest of the test that's going to be taken. Or when Mr. Phelps goes over there and picks up the gun out of Johnny's hand, which is what it says in the report, he places it into a paper bag and he takes it with him till he gives it to somebody at the lab the next day, or the same day, but later in the day.
Right.
When he handles that gun, if he didn't go wash his hands, put gloves on, all that stuff before these powder residue tests was taken, then it was useless. But I've got news for you. Forget the powder residue. Forget that test. It doesn't matter. Either way, irrelevant. Because the test it could have come from self-inflicted, or it could have come from hands up. It could have come from hands down. There's powder flying around the air that's going to contaminate. That has no bearing whatsoever on this case. That is just something they could throw in and say, well, we done a powder residue. We're great investigators. We figured out. We done. I know. Okay, I don't mean to be facetious, but I still think that a lot of people's ego was hurt because they had called this so early on, just because they saw a gun in a man's hand. Hey guys, let me show you all something there. Turn your head if you're weak stomach.
Oh yes. Guys,
this is what I've got. That bandage on my hand.
I can see that. Ooh.
Me and Sheila was making that rack, and I was cutting she was holding the steel, but I was cutting the plastic to make a loop to hold the grip of that gun. And instead of pushing the knife away from me, I was pulling the knife in. It went all the way to the bone and sliced my top of my finger completely back. So the residue test, don't pay no attention to. The recoil test simply shows that there's no way a person's going to hold that gun with one hand. You couldn't hold that gun with one hand sideways and you alive. I'm not going to try it because I don't like pain and I know it's going to hurt. But I don't believe that you could take that gun and hold it sideways like your hand is right here and take and pull that without that gun doing exactly like it did.
Flipping away from the body.
Even you alive, I don't believe you can hold that gun backwards and far around and it stay in your hand. With that said, we know, and you know by now, since you've saw slow motion and you see that gun come back and hit me on the arm.
Far out of him.
And it swelled up like a big old goose egg for a while. Had I not been standing there and had that rope not caught it, which I'm glad it did, because we had our mattresses put down, we had blankets and pillows to catch to make sure it didn't hit the floor and damage Bill's gun. But had that rope not been there and my arm gotten away, it would have landed on the concrete.
It would have went past me.
Yeah, it would have gone over 10 feet. Gun wouldn't have landed in Johnny Edrington's hands. Can't emphasize that. Everything that we have proved on this case, from the death certificates to this, to what, everything, if you put all that together, this case, Mr. Asher's book is not correct. Sheila, you got anything?
No, I guess that's it, isn't it? Because they've watched the videos and stuff, and they can tell us their thoughts.
Yeah,
what they think.
If you would, tell us your thoughts.
We'd love to hear.
Put your opinions. We'd like to know. We'd like to see the test. We'd like to see the VHS or the beta, because they filmed it. If they did a test back in the 80s, back in the 80s, we invented the retriever that goes on your gun to keep people from taking your gun. In fact, that's what's on the back of that gun, where we use that for a training gun, just to hook the snap to. and that would pull. And we made videos on VHS and on beta, still have them today. Mr. Asher would too, or they would be in the file. We'd like to see those tests. Scientific tests that Mr. Asher says he did on page 208 of his book. He says it has to be true. And it would explain, he says, the recoil, how the gun stayed in his hand. A live person couldn't hold that gun in their hand, much less a dead one. Guys, that gun was planted in Johnny Edrington's hand, just as sure as I'm bald-headed. Just as sure as my wife is beautiful.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't go that far.
I will.
No.
So, thanks for joining us. You're up, Punk.
All right, guys. We hope you're having a great evening. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
God bless. Bye.
God bless.